After Christmas 2024 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails and video clips. Yes, we're starting with a standard introduction. Where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill. Warning signs about various guard cats. This spot, known as Robin's Corner, is where GPS was tested from the late 1980s, down at this spot. And in fact, that's the bit of garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present several years ago. There's the oak tree that sprung up from an acorn in the early 80s, I think that was, if not a little bit earlier. And there is the accommodation for owls that's only been used by guard cats. Yes, cameras and mirrors everywhere. There is Homer on guard duty. There's the robot boat. Lots of work needed on it before it can make an Atlantic attempt. That's Snoopy the Viking just there. Here's June's car with promotion of the website gpss.co.uk that was a business decades ago, is now hobbies like the robot boat and charitable causes. There's Robin's bicycle, hasn't had a chance to use that yet. Here's the accommodation for guard cats. Yeah, there's the sign again. And also armed mice. Can't be too careful going around. Yeah, they're all over the place. But we do have signs. Beware of the mouse. Perhaps that should say mice. Then we're making our way towards the front door, but before that, that camper was used to take Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast for Atlantic attempts, and there's the warning sign. Battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Yes, that's the flatulent fairy. Lots of expensive jewellery on her. If anybody's interested in trying to steal any, but I wouldn't recommend it. And peanuts everywhere. Yes, automatic bird feeders. I say bird feeders, it's peanut feeders. There's all sorts of, that thermometer's shifted. Bit of garden maintenance, I have to do it sometime. Signs everywhere. This is where I'm obliged to, I don't know whether I can do this. I'm obliged to read out these signs for health and safety reasons. These have been here some time. That's June just coming down the stairs. Closed circuit TV, hidden TV cameras inside and outside this house. Sound and videos monitored in local houses and elsewhere. Now, of course, I must emphasise these are just jokes, because people will say, oh, you daren't say that. So it says, no trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Yeah, there's another camera. But that's my study in there. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. But this sign is probably the most important, because it's not just cameras you have to worry about. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock. Beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? Just a joke, of course. Right, I think it's safe to go into the house now. Now I've got to, this is going to be difficult because I've got to try and get the key out of my pocket. Here we go. Right, so into the house safely, and yes, not easy. My cameras aren't working, so I'm having to use this smartphone. And what shall we go to next? Probably into the lounge, which isn't too bad. This is Lady Michelle's pussycat, who's on temporary guard duty. Hello, lady. I hope you're not dozing on duty. So the lounge isn't too bad in terms of tidiness. Yes, Christmas decorations, including the fairy at the top here. And one of the uses of these videos is to encourage guys who may make offer for property maintenance. And of course, that's lots of things. I mean, for example, this is the games room that you can see is very untidy. And yes, I do take some responsibility for this, although not that. What's this? Robot boat related thing, like testing a servo to death. Lots of other stuff here. So it gives you a flavour of it. And of course the photo trails show that. And do a quick glance into the kitchen, because June seems to be there. And gosh, that's a surprise. There's tennis on the television. I think that's from Perth, Australia, but not sure. Ah, there we go. Say hello, June. Okay. No, she still has hair problem with cough and cold. It's been lasting for practically a year now. Right, so now we're going to go and do a quick tour of the garden, because I haven't spoken about Baldrick's cunning plans. Try not to trip over things. Baldrick's cunning plan last year, which was very good, was to create space in the garden, and I'll go quickly to that. Past the telescope, I built the optics for that when I was a boy at school still. That's the main mirror down the end there. No chance to do any work on that for decades. And down past the sundial. This is the workshop area, that's the laboratory there, and the metal detectors. This is the area that was created to create space for tools. There, even got a vise. A workshop area, but lots of spare space for tools to be put in the right place. And we made a start. The main thing is there's no lack of space for putting up extra hooks and things. So now, hammers, files, spanners, this could still be improved, garden stuff. The key thing is it's all out in the open. And when you find, that saw, we'll say, may look new, but it's not that good compared with the other saws, it can be thrown away. But you don't throw away the good stuff. That's looking through the window into the laboratory. Mostly robot boat electronics. We'll have a glance at that. Here we go, robot boats. That's the smallest that was successfully sold, not across the Atlantic. And lots of other stuff out here. And that's the main work area, if and when I get a chance. They're the bits up here in various photo trails, which are often useful from the last attempt. Bits of rusty that you can no longer buy, but they can be a useful guide, or have little bits inside them. Right, while we're down this in the garden, we'll use the opportunity to take a glimpse. Yes, that's a sundial, and that's the main sundial, made with a couple of old saws you see there for the main means of casting the shadow. And that's a reference sundial, so we can check things out. But the shadow is cast by that globe and that. And of course, sundials work in Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. But British summertime is 1 hour added to that. Lots of stuff, all overgrown, look. That's an easy job, I reckon, to cut this back lawn with the tools, including getting the tools out. It's no more than about half an hour work. We'll take a walk down here. This is coming out lovely. Sweetly smelling stuff. Do you know the name of it? So we're down to the bottom area here. Oh yes, primroses coming out. right through the year, it seems. Down to the third pond, or did I say pond? No, bog area. Work needed there, simple work, so that plastic's covered. That hawthorn doesn't seem to have survived. That one has, and that one I think as well. And this was June's bright idea, to protect things like bird boxes, or even within there, from cats, so birds may choose to nest. So I'm now working my way around the back garden. Yes, lots of rubbish here, although some stuff is not so much rubbish. Quite nice bits of furniture, really. Yeah, so no lack of space for putting stuff to rot down, just needs chopping it all up. Yes, looking up, there's the back box. No bats have chosen to do it, and further up, maybe accommodation for squirrels, but I don't think they are nesting here. Similar way that is, this comes into flower, that creeper. Can't remember the name of it now. So just showing you more space. Mowing the lawn, easy, just look down the end and there's a fly mow. And there's a strimmer. And there's various other tools, including gloves. So that was Baldrick's cunning plan a year or two back to create space in the garden, and good help was had by me from Paul over at Trobham, point out things, but we still got lots more work to put things in the right place. Yeah, so there's Gingy, or Fart a Lot, as Samantha, no, Michelle christened him that. More cat forts, bug palaces. So a lot of work has been done in the last year or two, but it hasn't been completed from the point of view of things put in the right place. So we've cleared junk out of the house, decided what junk to throw away, but kept the important stuff. So I may as well use the opportunity to go around the side of the house. Great risk of tripping over things because everything's overgrown. This is June's greenhouse. She's responsible for that lot. And there's a hawthorn tree. I think that's may have survived. Coming around the side. Sorry about the politically incorrect decorations on things. And where we keep stuff, I say junk, it's often useful stuff, pipes or whatever. The taps for various sources of water, including water squirters, some of them. Yeah, wood around the side here, and they're working their way round to behind where the dustbins are kept, which you've already seen. So I think that's the tour as of this shot just after Christmas 2024. So there might be changes if this introduction appears before some other photo trail into 2025. But yeah, coming back past the pond, very pleased with the work there. It just needs tidying up, and yes, the leak in the pond fixed, and lots of other bits and pieces. So let's go into those photo trails and possibly video clips, but mostly photo trails, starting about here. Thursday the 26th of December 2024. Photo of Lady Michelle's pussycat and the summary of the very few photos shot that day. Yes, so what happened there? Oh yes, my new present from June, and also thinking about the trip up to Trigger Pond to meet with family, an hour or so north. Looked really good on Street View, and yes, and yeah, take a trip down to, yeah, there's the pussycats. Take a trip down to the Comrades Club, but put the peanuts out first, and yes, near the flatulent fairy at the front, down past Homer, down into the village, into the Comrades Club. No photos taken, but lovely conversations with oh goodness me, running out. Yeah, check the tracker. Yes, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now the few photos. Yes, the women are watching something or other on the telly, whatever it is, load of rubbish, in my opinion, very boring. And yes, processing of a video, probably the Christmas video. Yes, my phone, start to check out the process of how do I get that working, and it was quite straightforward really, things like the camera and things like that. Fingers crossed it'll be okay. I don't know. And that's the trip coming up the next day, which is today as I'm recording this, to Trigger Pond. Looks really interesting. Lovely little spot, and yes, weather should be good, so we get a chance to see the pond opposite. Well named Trigger by the fact that it looks that shape. Christmas newsletter, yes, I'll put the video for Christmas Day and Christmas Eve up. And yes, down to the village. Was my new African roots, highly decorated guy who likes his Guinness. Utia, I think. Probably pronounced it wrong, not to worry. Frank is another name. Anyhow, that was checking things like the test rig, checking a servo to death. Oh yes, peanuts. Realised they need to be put out. And of course I'm making do with this little camera, which got limitations, including the 4:3 aspect ratio and exposure and all the rest of it. Yeah, enough moaning about that. The sort of things we chatted about was where is the nearest swimming pool, and a good place was the Bracknell Sports Centre. We were looking at where that was on the map and how one could reach it easily without a car, but perhaps a bicycle might be the best transport. So I know most of those roads and paths around Bracknell are very good. So that was the one. One of the very few photos taken. They've had none inside. Yes, I'm making my way back home. Yes, past Homer. And inside, yes, the flatulent fairy on guard duty. And June's still watching something. There's Lady curled up, dozing in the kitchen. And checking the tracker just to confirm anybody could watch me back and where I was. Yes, Sunninghill Comrades Club. And when I came out and back home to 22 Armitage Court, and just here, put the tracker on charge, time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 27th of December 2023, starting with a summary of what is about 25 minutes of photos at the end. Yes, main thing was the trip to Trigger Pond, shown well on Street View, interesting spot and very enjoyable. It was a lunchtime, well, late lunchtime meal, and yes, so I start the photo trail with a few shots around house and garden, including the robot boat out the front and Lady, Michelle's pussycat, and June watching tennis just for a change, me putting the peanuts out on the bridge on the top pond, and out the back lots of peanuts being put out because somebody gave me peanuts for a Christmas present as well. I even sprinkled some on the lights above the kitchen. Yes, so it looks as though we were getting ready to go, And yes, Toadie's patrolling around the garden, and June's driving, and so yes, Samantha in the back, and Michelle, me in the front, and there's quite a long photo try on the way there, and the camera that I'm using, I've got a means of charging it in case it goes flat, because it's the only thing I had. And yes, so that was very good. The sharing of position, very practical to see the progress of the others. And Sally, sister Sally and her crowd, there you go, on the left, got there a bit before us, which is good. They organised it, and I used the opportunity to have a patrol around and take a few photos as opposed to just the street view pictures. Lovely spot. There's looking across from Trigger Pond at the pub, and their back garden, lovely place, particularly in the spring and the summer, I should think. Yes, there's Gary and Saskia. There's the soup that I had as a starter, and then I had pizza, very enjoyable. And there's Samantha. Now I can tell I'm in the loo there, and there was nobody in there, so I thought I'll take some pictures of the good decoration, including the urinals. Yeah, you'll have to go further through the photo trail for that. Right, so that looks as though that's on their way back. It's too dark to take many pictures with that phone. Not phone, sorry, the camera. Look, check the tracker, yes. Anybody interested could say, oh, that's where Robin is, and oh, they're spending time at that place, Trigger Pond, and then back home to 22 Armitage Court. And yeah, the women are checking things like WhatsApp messages. I have a bit of a doze, very hard day. Woke up, and they're watching some film or other, and I think, right, I'll check out the Comrades Club. So down into the village and into the Comrades Club, and enjoyable time there, but very quiet compared with the night before, which was Boxing Day, when it was really bustling. So back home, there's Lady, time for bed. Here's some extra pictures that I took, which was reminded me of tracking right from 1970 through the places I'd worked, and a lot of that was software that I'd brought with me over the years. And my favourite video, police using it to intercept Nick Knowles. And yeah, so this is now the actual photos, the photo trail in the order shot. So that's the place we're planning to go, Trigger Pond, on Google Maps, and that's looking at street view, so you get a good impression of the place opposite the pond. And at the time I didn't know, until I spoke to the guys there, why it was called Trigger Pond. I thought it might have been the shape of it, but no, it was to do with a stop for wagoners. That was before trains or decent roads and lorries, horses and carts. There's Toadie keeping an eye on the premises. There's Bentley. Bentley? Sorry, Freudian slip. Bentley's the cat opposite. That was Homer. And yes, everything seems to be working. There's the bicycle, which I might get a chance to use sometime, was a conversation piece earlier at the Comrades Club. Yes, just a few snaps around the garden. Yes, there's Homer, selfie with Homer. And yes, there's the website, gpss.co.uk. Business decades ago, but now hobbies and charitable causes. Yes, thought take a few snaps since Toadie was there. Very still and misty it was. Oh, here's a card that had come from Alexander. I recognised who it might be by where it was from. and the handwriting, which I hadn't seen before. And yes, there's Lady in the lounge. She likes the high ground. Means she can keep an eye on Toadie. And that was a present for me. Needed to get the right tools and put them back in the right place to open it. And it was a bit surprising, but very happy. It wasn't what it said on the box, Suet Peasits at all. It was peanuts. Very well received. But he says, not sure what that was about. Oh yes, make sure you put the peanuts out. Yeah, so lots of them there. It is Christmas, or just gone past Christmas, so we can be generous to the wildlife. And the pond, yes, that's very low. Working my way down garden now. Yeah, looking inside the telescope. No work being done on that for years now. Very low on priorities compared with everything else. So down to the feeder overlooking the second pond, so-called duck pond. That's why we've put a fence around it, but no ducks have taken an interest in recent years. Oh yes, there's looks like a primrose or something similar come out. And yeah, made my way down to the end of the garden just for the record, in case anybody into property maintenance was to give us a hand. There's loads of work to do. It's just a matter of doing things in the right order. And that's looking up at the trees, including the back box that hasn't been occupied. Not sure where the squirrels live, whether they are one of those trees. We certainly get the squirrels regularly, so I think they must be one of those pine trees. Yeah, peanuts I put this side, I'll be generous, and I put peanuts everywhere, including on the sundial. And where am I going around now? Oh yeah, decided to go around the side of the top pond, just so we got a record of what it's like. Yeah, lots of it needs trimming, but good work was done early in the year when it was the time to work on the pond, but it's still more work needs to be done. That's why we got a leak there. Shouldn't be so difficult if we do the same thing this year. I say this year, we're nearly there, 2025. And yeah, just still taking the snaps. There's June's vegetable garden, if you call it that. And working my way up to the area near the, oh yes, there's Alex's sailing saucer looking through into the games room. And looking up from the patio, there's the temperature. Yes, 5 degrees. Relatively mild, and the key thing is no wind to speak of. All overgrown, yes, lots of trimming back needed. Then I go upstairs, all those clothes, junk in that spare bedroom, which is access to the roof, out on the roof to put peanuts in the feeder there, and use the opportunity to show everything overgrown. Oh yes, there's a little kite ticket. Thought if they take an interest, it's usually wind or one of the other birds throws it out. So all of that, easy to trip over, all needs trimming. While about it, put a few peanuts on the skylights at the top of the kitchen. And there's that power, not power, that is that's the telephone cable. That's been years there without being repaired. And some people say it'd be a waste of time because they'll end up, won't be supporting it anyhow. You say, oh, you have fibre or nothing. But we'll see. Back into that untidy room. Yeah, look at it all. Clothes, junk. And yes, just for the record. Yeah, some Wi-Fi speakers there by the look of it. Yeah, what do you do? Live with it is the answer. Back down into the games room where most of the junk there is my fault, but it's practical because when you're working on things, you make sure things are where you need them to be. So that was the Peanuts topped up there. There's Toadie, keeping an eye on things. There's the camper. Yes, battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. There's the flatulent fairy. There's the signs, warning signs about entrance. So it's complete record on this photo trail pretty well. Yeah, rather blurred, that picture. That's the Peanuts. Putting them back in the right place for the moment, which is in the games room, near the patio door, out onto the patio, of course. Yes, there's the test rig, testing a servo to death. Back into the lounge, 10 to 1, so we're a bit late from getting away. I think we intended to get away a bit before that, but well, I was ready, of course, but I think it was Samantha. I said, I was going to say Samantha or Michelle, not sure, but anyhow, it looks as though we're all ready. And you'd have thought that Samantha or June would get insurance for Samantha to drive her car, but no, they decided to use that car, and June's the only one allowed to drive it. So we're off, and yes, there's Homer keeping an eye on things. There's Samantha. Now we're off out of Armitage Court down the high street of Sunninghill. Very misty, and you get patches of, well, I wouldn't really call it fog, low cloud or mist. Past the Jade and past St Michael's School on the left, past the theatre on the right. So coming out of the village of Sunninghill and approaching the roundabout. If you went straight on, it would be to the church, but we take a left here, past the Victory Field, past what was the Wells pub, and I think it's the Fizz Bar at the moment. It was renamed but went out of business pretty quick. Into the middle of Ascot, then turn right under the racecourse, and yeah, so we're coming up to the Peanut roundabout now, and we're taking the road to Maidenhead is the direction we're taking. And yeah, there's a, I can't remember the name of that pub now. There was the one, the Fleur de Lis on the corner, coming through, I think that's Cranbourne School, where, yeah, I think Stephen Gurney went there. And yes, so we're now, yes, past, quite difficult to keep up, can't read the signs, at least I can't on the screen. And so that is, not sure where that village is, I should remember it. Anyway, we're on the road going out towards Maidenhead. Ah, yes, that's where I notice I can keep the little camera I've got with its battery in good order by plugging it into the USB socket. And that's where I used, June's using her smartphone for the navigation using Google Maps, and I put my phone on, and there were these WhatsApp messages saying, oh, share position. And so I said, oh yes, mine can be shared for 8.5 hours, which is the maximum. And I thought that covers everything, including coming back home later. But several other people only enabled it for the route up. Anyhow, not to worry, it was useful, and it reminded me, I was still taking snaps along the route. I was probably going over the Thames approaching Maidenhead, or maybe coming up the road towards High Wycombe. It is, and there's just going past Marlow, and of course we could see Saskia and Gary clearly, and we can see what route they're taking, and because a lot of this was guessing, there was a lot of traffic, tremendous delays, I think cost us at least a quarter of an hour. And we could also see Sister Sally and family coming down from Raunds near Northampton, and So it's very good. So we could, oh yes, so that's coming through the Chilterns. That's the cut-in through the Chilterns. Well-known llama. So we're coming down from the Chilterns into the lower area. So we're north of the Chilterns now. Of course, what was good is it not only we knew our position anyhow, but we could also see how the others were doing, and so all sorts of things in terms of we were going to be not only later than when the table was booked. I think I'm not sure whether it was booked for 2:30 or something, and we could see we were going to we wouldn't all be there till nearer 3 o'clock, and I think the kitchen's closed then, if I've got it right. A lot of this was WhatsApp messages going backwards and forwards. I sometimes prefer a phone call unless it's a picture that you're sending. Anyhow, yeah, we're getting there now because it was just north of Bicester where we were going, and so we're following the signs, or rather the sat-navs telling us what to do. I think June made a little mistake. There's a new lot of building going up there, and the trigger pond, yes, it says take a left at the roundabout, and so we're getting close. Then there we are, we've got there. So get to the car park round the back, and June's looking around for a slot, so I get out so I can take a few snaps, and there's the pond over the road, and just as we saw it on Street View, and then we come in, and yes, Sally and Becky and David and Jordan, they got there a few minutes, as we'd see. Yeah, so I've decided I'll have a 0% Heineken one about it, and yeah, so I then thought take a few snaps while I could, while it was still light. So yeah, there's the front of the place, just as we'd seen it on Street View. There's Trigger Pond, lovely pond, and there's a stream feeds into it, I think, that shows up on the Google mapping, or any mapping. There's the seat. Couldn't read who the seat was dedicated to, that's worn out, but that's no surprise. And yes, some lovely old bits of stone wall looking over to the fields, and then back to the pub, and I thought I'd take a walk around the back. Yes, it was easy to do that through the gate. So they got the lovely patio there, doggy watering hole, where they obviously put stuff, and now I saw that, whatever it was, an old front of a Jeep by the look of it, and a lovely big area they've got there, big, well, a field practically, loads of benches for people who might want to spend time. Obviously, it depends on the time of year. That caught my eye. But, so, did the back garden. So, probably going back inside now. Yeah, there we go at the bar. Very, yeah, there's Gary and Saskia. And there's the soup that I had for the starter. There's Samantha and Michelle and June. And down the end of the table, there's Jordan. I decided to check out the loo. Yeah. Oh no, that's in the corner. You're mad bonkers. Right, got Mad Hatter there. But I'll tell you a secret. All of the best people in the world are, or something similar. The place was absolutely full of artwork like that. And yeah, nice food. Give you a flavour of what other people are having. And yeah, there's my pizza, which was my main course. Yes, what do you do with that thing? Oh, I think you use it for cutting the pizza up. And I think June had sea bass, I think. Yeah, it's the time, 5 to 4. Yes. Now that guy, and we only had a few minutes. He's the landlord, I think, and it was great. He showed me and told me the history of the place, and somebody else thought it was gypsies. Oh yeah, that's on in the loo there. Look, small, medium, and liar. Yes, that's above the urinals. And there's You can always pause it if you want to read the notices. Yeah, it's not a wine flu. Yes. Luckily there was nobody in there, so I felt quite free to take those snaps. Naughty corner. Yes, I found that in one of the tables. And there's Jordan with young deer, and yeah, some toasts going on here. And yeah, it looks as though we're leaving now. Yep, so June's going to be doing all the driving back, and yeah, it's got the Google Maps easy job, and of course it's the same route back as we took going. I had a bit of a doze. I did doze off to sleep quite a bit there. I'm not sure how much sleep I got. I probably got, I guess it might have been quarter of an hour, difficult to say. Didn't keep a log of it. So obviously camera's not really up to doing very much, but no way even guessing where we were. I know we're home now. Yeah, so get out. There's the robot boat, and there's Homer, and there's Toadie, and there's Lady Michelle saying hello. Hello, Lady. So they've been looking after the place. Check the tracker. Yes, that's the whole route. And of course anybody watching live from the contact page would have seen where we were and how slowly we were moving when we were in those queues of traffic on the M40. And in fact we got there. And of course managed to get back home again. 22 Armitage Court. Just here. And what else? Yeah, so they're probably looking at WhatsApp messages and things, photos and various other things sent from family. And yes, I had a bit of a doze. It was a hot day. I woke up, goodness me. Oh, they got some rubbish on the television. Well, it probably wasn't rubbish. I recognised the actor and things. But I thought, well, I could check out. Oh yes, that fairy was a misbehaving fairy. You probably know the film, I don't. But had a habit of kicking men in the wrong place. But, or the right place, depends. So I'm off out, down to the Comrades Club to check it out, past Homer. And down the high street, amazing to see anything really in the lighting, into the Comrades Club. And yeah, enjoyed the time there, but it was very, very quiet compared with the day before. And when I asked, they say, well, probably people recovering from the day before, because it was a great get together on the Boxing Day. Right, back home, they're still watching, whether it's the same film or a different one, I don't know. There's Lady watching as well. Time for bed. Now, I've slipped in some other photos here. That was the shared positions WhatsApp, and then of course back in 1970, and then into 75, and then into the 80s, very much involved in delivering and tracking systems of various sorts. Obviously the technology changes, it's a matter of exploiting it, and that's my favourite video. Nick Knowles being arrested by the police using my software. And there's Lady. And that is the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 28th of December 2024. Starting with a summary of the few photos shot that day. And yes, it was very relaxing. Yeah, I didn't start taking any photos till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And June drove Michelle down to spend some time with Saskia and Gary down to Yateley, and watching tennis. Of course, I take a wander down to the village, force myself to go into the Blend and Brew for lunch, coffee and chat with people there, and pop into the Comrades Club. And of course it was quite dark by the time we come out, even though it I don't know what time that was. Yeah, 5 to 6 by the time I got back. There's lady. Oh yes, did the diary for next year, including varnishing. Yes, you can't be too careful about things getting soaking wet and things. Yes, closed circuit TV check. 9:10. Oh, time to take a walk down to the village, but this time not wear my Father Christmas hat. And into the Comrades Club. Lovely time there. Playing Charlie with Paul. That's Charlie with the swagger, because there's several Charlies in there. And yes, back home. June's watching the news, I think. There's lady with her in the kitchen. 11:10. Yes, check the tracker. Anybody could see where I was. Yeah, Comrades Club. Oh, he's walking home. And he got home. Yes, 22 Armitage Court, just here. Put the tracker on charge. Yes, guarded by Toadie. Time for bed. So, that's the summary. Now into the photos in the order they were shot. Not until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Listen to the Radio 4 news. And yeah, June's tracker says, oh yes, she's that's where she's been, and by the time I looked at it, she was practically home. Yes, closed circuit TV showed her. And yeah, so she watches the tennis, of course, in the kitchen from Perth, Australia. Oh, we got a delivery. It's a courier coming, yes, with his smartphone. Standard procedure. Ring the doorbell, take photographs. And oh yes, that was, thank you, that was the birthday present, not birthday present, stupid boy, Christmas present. Becky and family, I think. Right, looks like I'm off down to the village. Yes, posing with Homer, past the robot boat, down out onto the main road, walk down to the village, and yes, into the 20 zone. A few more pictures taken when it's lighter. Yes, we know there are people across the road. Into the blend and brew. Had a coffee. You see I've practically eaten it all then. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Enjoyable conversations. Oh yes, I wonder if I got away with that, writing that on the window. It's all steamed up. And yes, then into the Comrades Club. And yes, not for very long, just taking a few snaps there, checking out the camera, got back home. Yes, with Homer and the flatulent fairy. June watching some drama, I think that is, whatever that is, I don't know. Yes, 5 to 6 in the evening. Oh yes, updated the newsletter, some minor tweaks to it, and decided that get that diary ready, started putting things in, and yes, I thought a bit of varnish over it so those things wouldn't get knocked off, and put things back in the right place, which is the workshop area. Yes, that was the varnish being put back in the right place. Then back, oh yes, peanuts need putting out, so put a few of those out. The diary can be left to dry there. Oh dear, knock that over. Oh, don't tell June. Still, perhaps Samantha can help with that when they notice it. Right, so closed circuit TV check. Hadn't done that for a little while, so yes, for similar sort of events right the way through. Foxes coming from the peanuts at the back mostly. There was 1 or 2 brief visits in the porch, but only brief, so not sure why that is. Maybe pussycats tend to guard it. Anyhow, yeah, we don't know why, but not to worry. Yeah, so 7:54. Oh, that was me getting back from the Comrades Club, and there's me leaving for the Comrades Club at coming up to 10 o'clock. Oh, there's lots of things all happening. And right, what have we got next? Not a lot. June watching something on the tennis. Oh yes, rustled up food. That's the food that June had done. So put a collection of things there. Decided to go down to the Comrades Club. 9:10 in the evening. No, don't take the Father Christmas hat this time. As I said to the others, I got fed up with doing overtime coming down chimneys. Too much like hard work. And yeah, down. Yeah, see, photos don't come out very well when it's dark. Into the Comrades Club. Enjoyable time there. Because take very few photos, if any, in there now. Back home. Back to 22 Armitage Court. Out past Homer. Yes, hello Homer. And June's watching probably the news, and Lady curled up near her. Hello Lady. That's Michelle's pussycat. 11:10 at night. Put the cue ball back where it belongs. Check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see I was in the Comrades Club. And when I walked home, yes, back to 22 Armitage Court. Just here. So, put the tracker on charge. Yes, guarded by Toady. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 29th of December 2024. Starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, that was my favourite photo, which is you there, Frank. And yeah, so a few snaps. Yes, there's Lady Michelle's pussycat. There's June watching tennis, and I take a few snaps around the garden, pond low, kitchen. June watching tennis, of course, from Perth, Australia, I think. I decided to walk down to the village to get some cash out before anywhere else. And so there's a photo trail there into one stop. And who should I bump into but you two? Anyhow, that was, the cash machine wasn't working, so I walked past the Coles Hall round to the post office. And yes, that machine was working, so got some cash out. And I was caught by those little decorations. Made my way back into the Blend and Brew, and then I was joined by Frank. Is the easy name, I suppose. Yes, love those photos. And made my way back home, past the robot boat, and Homer on guard duty. Yes, selfie with Homer, and the flatulent fairy. June watching tennis. Yes, from Perth, Australia. And that's Michelle's bedroom. Michelle's minding the cats over at Saskia and Gary's, and that was Lady on the bed. Yeah, check the tracker. Anybody could see where Robin was, including getting back home. Put the peanuts out. Getting through a lot of peanuts at the moment, but then somebody gave me a load of peanuts for a Christmas present, as well as the ones we'd ordered. So, snaps around the garden, topping up bird feeders, and of course lots of things like the peanuts, including squirrels. Listen to the Radio 4 news. Time to go down to the Comrades Club. And yes, so it's obviously late. And yeah, spent some time. Yeah, it was football we were watching, and conversations about all sorts of things. And he showed me that instrument. When he said he was going to show me his instrument, I was a bit alarmed, but then I realised what it was. It was a musical instrument. So back into the house, and yes, Lady on guard duty. Time for veg. So that's the end of the summary. So now all the photos in the order they were shot on that day. Not until the afternoon, 1:10, I think. There's Lady, and there's the naughty corner where Robin tends to relax, and there's Toady. Yeah, he's on that bit of high ground there. So had a relax there, had a doze for a few minutes, but not for very long. Then up and around, yes, June's watching the tennis. A few shots around the games room. There's the test rig testing a servo to death, and every now and again I have to charge the battery, swap batteries. Yeah, so shows you all the untidy stuff in the games room, work to be done, but it shows you that on that day no work had been done. The pond out the back, on the back patio, yes, that's low, that's a job for this winter. Working my way down the garden and round the patio. Yes, looks like I'm about to, where am I going next? Oh, just pointing out things, lots of work needed. It's a lot of it is tidying up things and getting things to work that stop working. Some of them are quite technical things like cameras, no lack of those. Right, that looks like the planned trip down to the village, and yes, there's Homer. So I think the main motivation was to get some cash out before I then went into the Blend and Brew to have a late lunch. So what we got here is a photo trail. Yes, I put my hood up. No longer wearing the Father Christmas hat, you'll notice. Past the Comrades Club, past friends, the pencils, and past the Blend and Brew, carry on down over the railway bridge. Yes, looking along the railway. Further down past Chapman's. Of course, this is yes, they're closed. Quite a lot of places are closed on a Sunday. Sunninghill Wines, I think they were open, and into One Stop, and that's where I met. Yes, so that machine wasn't working, so what do you do? But by then I didn't take any pictures. I met his nibs, as we might say. So now down past the theatre and the Chords Hall, showing what their Goldilocks and the Three Players are going to be done. That's the Chords Hall on the corner, very important building that in Sunninghill. And to the post office, yes, there's the gas machine, and it is working. Yes, they charge you for the transaction, but better be able to get it. And I like those little bits of decoration on the post box. Coming back past the Raj Rouge, a few other shops. Yes, Ascot Locks, quite like there. Burglar, the Jade, or the Jade Fountain as it once was. Thames Hospice. Most of these places are closed, of course, since it was a Sunday. Chapman's back over the railway bridge, then looking east along the railway, I think that is, if I've got it right. Free Wine Barbers, they were open. Tesco Express, they're open. And across to the Blend and Brew. And there's a couple of photos, yes, with what I was eating. Yes, how about that? So, oh yes, I made a note of that. I saw the Bansals just going back in for a get-together. And so, Comrades Club, yeah, it was probably a brief visit, just checking things out. And yes, back home. Homer. Hello, Homer. And yeah, into the house. Oh, there's the flatulent fairy. And June watching tennis from Perth. Oh yes, there's Lady on Michelle's bedroom. Michelle's cat minding over at Saskia and Garra's. Oh, there's a bit of artwork painted by Jill, I think, from a photograph when we were in Holland. Check the tracker. Yes, anybody wanted to know where Robin was, you can say, oh, there he is, and depending on when they looked, oh, he's at One Stop or he's at the post office, probably getting cash out. And yeah, there you see. So you say, ah, if you're going to rob me, wait until I've got cash in my pocket. But what's good is I've probably got quite a few people minding my back. Yes, back here. And oh yes, email exchange with Utah and friend Patrick, I think, with some photos. Yeah, still quite light, so it's still only in the afternoon. Here's the sundial, putting a few peanuts out. Yeah, put peanuts on that one on the roof as well. Looking down, that's the second pond down there, a bit blurred. A few more peanuts there. There was hardly any peanuts gone from that feeder, I noticed. And yes, there's the little memo to Gingy, as June called her, and Fart a Lot, as Michelle christened him. And yes, looking in the windows, look at all the overgrown stuff. Loads of work needed, but very simple work compared with sorting out all the junk and deciding what's going to be thrown and what's going to be kept, and if it's kept, where it's put. And as I often say, people often tell me where to stick things. That's the roof, flat roof. I sprinkled a few peanuts up on the top there, and on those skylights. And yes, there's that BT British telephone cable that hasn't been attended to for years. Yes, what do you do about all that junk? That's women's junk clothes. Yes, there's Lady Michelle's pussycat in Michelle's room with all Michelle's toys, including unicorns, out on the front porch. Make sure peanuts are there. And yes, feeder's well topped up. That's good. But of course, there's lots of income to the peanuts. Birds, but also foxes. Yeah, that's a red kite on the wall of the. Yeah, getting a bit boring that what she's watching. So what are we doing now? Back into the lounge. And yes, hard work. All that putting peanuts out, really hard work. Got to relax. Oh yes, a cobweb over a camera. Go out and clear that out of the way. Yeah, so now I've got a clear view of the camera covering the porch. And there's Lady. She likes that spot up there, listening to the Radio 4 news. Yes, had a bit of a doze, only for a few minutes. Decide, time to go down to the Comrades Club, armed with that leaded cue ball on the off chance somebody requests use of it. So, past Homer. And of course the camera I'm using is no good in low light, so at least with the settings I've found out how to use. So into the Comrades Club, and you to join me, and yes, watching football and having a drink and chatting, and that was the instrument he showed me. And yes, so then back out and back home past Homer and into the house. Yes, yeah, there you go, just gone 11:30. Check the tracker. Yes, anybody interested could say, oh, that's where Robin is. And they got back home at 22 Armitage Court, just here. So that's about it, I think. Shutting things down, put the tracker on charge. Ladies on guard duty. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. I should have warned you that they would be long photo trails. So we're now going back through the untidy games room. Yes, lots of things here, more robot boats and things, including Alex's sailing saucer. And we're now going to go into material that was shot, might be a year or two back now, on the subjects of global warming and the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and also my thoughts about the DVLA, Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency. Quick glance at the kitchen. June's here having a cup of coffee, watching tennis, of course. And I didn't mention it before, but Baldrick's cunning plan this last year has been to get Samantha out of her room watching tennis all the time and learn housework and do housework for June, to take the load off June. And not only that, but odds and ends, like, and we did make a start putting up Homer, but not very much else. But hopefully progress will be made on that front. So we'll see. It means that Robin can spend more time relaxing, not working hard, and spend more time in the village. Some people call it networking, but others being lazy and spending time with friends in places like cafes and pubs and the Comrades Club. So I'm now going to run into that material that was shot whenever it was on the subject of global warming, the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and Robin's thoughts about the DVLA. And I think the material started about here. Now, what I put on the screen, because global warming is real in itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels, to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
We've seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday. That'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the font's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.